In this episode, we are going to continue with the discussion on CBC in relation to the job market. Last episode, we handled the definition and the generation and how CBC or CCC or CEC, however how you'll call it, it all means child-centered education, child-centered syllabus, child-centered curriculum, however we'll call it. It's all rounding the child. Now, in this episode today, we are going to see the principles of the CBC. I am your tutor, Mark, and this is Tuesday Class Job Market. Welcome and thank you for the viewers, thank you for the comments I get, thank you for the likes I get, and please, if you are watching me for the first time or you are seeing this video for the first time, please make sure you press that subscription button, subscribe. Don't forget to press the bell for personal notifications each and every time I upload the video. Please, when the video is so educative and you like it, please don't be selfish to keep it. Just be kind enough to share with other people so that we make sure that knowledge ripples as much as possible. There's nothing that makes me as happy as seeing the notification at the top bar there telling me that a new subscriber today you have achieved. It's so nice, it's so motivating, and it helps me to be motivated, to be enthusiastic enough to keep on searching and bringing up new content for this program. Now, today we are going to handle three main things. Number one, definition of the CBC. We are going to define it. Number two, we'll be talking about the ideology, the root cause of this CBC. Then number three, we are going to see 11 main principles of the CBC. Let's go very quickly. Number one, definition of the CBC. How do we define the CBC? In the other episode, episode 8, this one we can call it episode 8 part 2. Episode 8 part 1, we talked about the definition and briefly we gave examples, the generation and the principle, we passed through them. So today we are going again to follow them, but one by one explaining little explanation so that the trainers, the engineers and even the caregivers really know the basics of this CBC. So how do we define the CBC? It's a simple term. These are teaching, these are training, educational programs that are really meant to be centered within the child's psychological thinking capacity. It is child-based, meaning that it is in relation with the interest of the child, aspiration of the child, the future of the child, the ability of the child. So simply you can define CBC as an educational system that is related to the child-centered main aspects, main aspiration, abilities, and then activeness, and also the abilities and aspirations concerning the child, not the mother or the father of the child, not the educator of the child, not the employer. It's all about the child. That's the definition of the CBC. It can be called CBC, child-based curriculum, CCC, child-centered curriculum, or CCE, child-centered education. Wherever you are going to call it, it's all about child-centered interest and educational program. Now, what are the ideologies or what is the root cause of this? Briefly, we can say that CBC came out as a project that was done and edited in 2018. Its main idea was to mix, to mingle the childhood educational status or educational ladder in relation to the modern or to the current world necessities. And that's why I am basing this education with the job market. Because you get that what we are getting nowadays, the schools are releasing the products that are not worthy, molded enough to be or to fit in the job market. Whatever the job market wants versus what we are getting out of school, they don't relate. So that's why you get somebody has been graduated, yet this person cannot handle a certain program. meaning that the class was too much theoretical that when you come to practical, delivery is not there. So the CBC, the system that is now needed to really produce the product that are needed in the market, is this CBC, because it has to be child-centered. It has to be in relation to the interest, aspiration. What do you want to be when you grow up? So the ideology behind it was that children, mostly at their natural ages, they learn more by seeing and doing, what we call the apprenticeship, you see? Now, if it is all about learning by seeing and doing, this is what olden days people used to do. Children never went to normal classrooms, they sit down, books and writing. No, it was all about being taught, or you see what the elders are doing, then you copy. So that one, it mixed with the today current digital world. If we mix them together, then in relation to the interest of the child is what the ideology behind the CBC. We have to remember the past in mixed with the future, then we put them at the center of the concern. Who is the subject here? The subject is the child. So if the subject is not receptive, we will be doing nothing. So that's why it has to be centered within the child. Otherwise, we want to mix the old and the new. Then 11 principles of the CBC. Number 1 principle. All these principles, as we have said, they are all made in scientific way to help us understand the behavioral change and the promotion of well-being of the learners, of the individuals, and that's why it has to be within their center. It should be well-being within them. Very quickly, principle number 1. CBC is based on curiosity and play, play and curiosity. It means that when it is a child-centered, it must be something that is so interesting and can be put in a playful manner to make sure that the simple nuggets are got by the child. When you are playful and you are free and you are curious of wanting to know something, when you are exposed to such a scenario, you will be putting more effort to make sure that you learn it. It is not forced on you. It is something that is coming out of you. That's principle number 1. Principle number 2, the whole child's need, that's the interest, the strength and the capacities. One of the philosophy, one of the principle when you are handling the CBC, you must know that we are looking toward getting the needs of the child. It's not our need, it's the need of the child. What does this child need? What kind of assistant? What kind of aspiration? This is a gender. Which gender is this? Female, male. Their needs are the same or different. Then we start teaching them in accordance to individual needs, individual interest, and then individual strength. Not all of them are the same. A class can be composed of 20 students, but not all of them are the same. Not all of them have the same interest. Not the whole of them have the same attitude. So in short, CBC will be better than one teacher, one child. But because of population, maybe one teacher may end up handling a 10 class student or 20. But all in all, you have to specify each and every individual according to the strength and capability. Principle number 3, self-discovery and uniqueness. CBC has to be unique. Why unique? Because each and every learner is unique in his or her own way. Attitude differs from one learner to another. Aspiration differs from one learner to another. Backgrounds differs from one learner to another. International schools, they are full of people from different countries, different cultures, diverse international relationship and all that. So you have to train each and every individual according to the background, according to what was learned in the foundation. As you bring them together, you cannot assume that all of them are from the same background and the same cultural differences. No. It has to be unique per student, and it has to be for self-discovery as an individual. Another principle is that the choice and consequences participation, it has to be participatory approach, meaning that most of the CBC classes should be practical. Meaning that when it is done practically, the child will be more involved, and that is our main interest. Principle number 5, empathy, caring, mutual trust and respect. Remember, when we talk about the CBC, it is all-rounded figure. And in the last episode, I gave you the example of, or the difference between the performer and difference between the result-oriented. These two things are not the same. What we are looking to unleash out of these children is not the result, is the process. Are you getting that? Is the performance. And when we talk about the performance, we are looking at the whole development of a human being or of this child. From the attitude, from the aspiration, from the likeness, the kindness, that social being, social relationship, the words you talk, empathy, sympathy, ethical nature. We are trying to uproot or to unleash each and every quality in this child, so that as we bring whole being, we are bringing a whole being who is a performer in every dimension. That's principle number 5. Principle number 6, it involves taking risk. We can say that taking reasonable risk. Child-based education aims at training unique child according to unique aspiration. So when a child say, I want to be a doctor, then you start training this child in the line of doctorate. It means that a doctor has to be taking certain risks. So this risk, you will be training a child on how to take them, but at the same time also tell this child that whichever risk, either through practical or theory, whichever risk you decide on, there must be always the consequences. Number 7, time for solitude, time for self-reflection, and time for sense of wonder. As you train the CBC, you have to bring up an aspect of solitude nature. It's not all about the group work. It's not all about the crowd all the time. There's a time that a real human being need to pause, maybe 30 minutes per day, 1 hour per day, 45 minutes per day, just having self-meeting where you think. So during the class sessions, maybe you can decide and break your class into different. You pose a question, then you tell each and every individual, go in your corner, at your corner, go at the other the tree somewhere, think about this and come up with a solution. So that one also teaching about the solitude nature, which is very important in life, because you have to have self-talk. You have to have self-unleashing potential, have self-crafted questions, so that you come with the answers as an individual, not the group mind all the time. It trains us, apart from solitudeness and apart from social nature, gathering and grouping, being alone sometimes also create positive development. Another principle, number 7, collaborative learning. Most of the CBC, even though it's child centers, they will be doing what is called the role play. They will be doing what is called demonstrations, and they will be doing what is called presentations. When they do this presentation in different groups, when you appoint each and every child to do what is called presentation, you give them a subject, they go and revise, they go and discuss, then one of them or two of them give presentations. You are giving them that power of collaborative learning, and then how to be also individual oriented. You develop that courage in them, and maybe out of that you will be unleashing potential some way, somehow. Then it should be inclusion, diversity, and individuality. Even though another principle was about solitude, or maybe having the self-reasonable meeting as a person, remember also it's bringing that diversity, because class is composed of different learners from different families, from different backgrounds, and even to some extent different nationalities. When these nationalities come together, that collaborative nature comes in. When they come there, they ask, how is the family? How is your mom? How is your family acting? Blah, blah, blah. Then they end up learning from each and everyone. It's also helping in social relationship. It helps them to appreciate each and everybody's nature, everybody's background, everybody's opinion. So that collaborative nature is one principle of the CBC. As a teacher, as a trainer, you must make sure that your children are really in collaborative nature and they appreciate each other. And that is what we need in the job market. We need a staff that is well developed. We need a staff that can think upright. We need a staff that is social oriented and can relate with others. One who can work as a person and can work in a teamwork. One who is ready to appreciate each and every divergence ideas which is brought at work. So one who can manage well with fellow staffs and even the leaders. Then number 9, we talk of natural world and family and culture. That culture we are talking about, family we are talking about the natural world, meaning that the CBC is child-based. Some children, they have interest of the nature. They want to walk to the rivers, they want to go swimming, they want to climb trees, they want to see the natures, they want to study the rocks, the ocean, the generations of mountain. Now, by the time you are going for field work, by the time you are going for practical, you are exposing them to know the relationship between the nature and the human being, and then also the future and the initial stages. How are these interrelationship really occurs, especially with the nature? Are you getting that? So that is another principle of basic learning. Then we have the assessment. Now, in terms of assessment, as principle number 11, assessment. Here, it's not about the grading system. It's about assessing the capabilities, assessing the practicals, assessing the attitude, assessing the aspiration, assessing the development in terms of social relationship, assessing the interactiveness with the people, assessing the speech, how you can deliver, and the courage. Those are the kind of assessment that are principled under the CBC, not examination where you sit and then they grade the system. That is a no. That was the initial education. CBC principle number 1 should be assessments are based individually, but in terms of character development, in terms of change in diversity, in terms of understanding and adoption of the culture and the whatever comes across, in terms of the relationship of the child and the aspiration of the child and the expectation of the child. Those are the principles of education, or the child-based education, that each and every trainer must be following and must base his or her training techniques under that. When we do that, we will be releasing a well-developed student, learner, that when exposed to duties or get employment will be full grown, developed and well equipped producer or well equipped performer, and that's what I'm looking for. Thank you so much. Please don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to leave your comment there, don't forget to hit that bell button for personal notification. More video, visit my YouTube account called Mark. Visit my Facebook page and follow me, comment there. A lot of contents are there called Common Sense Isn't Common. My Facebook account is just Mark. Then for WhatsApp, direct WhatsApp +254 711 223525. Please, I am waiting for your comment so that I can continue producing the best content for your case. See you next time. Let's be good trainers and caregivers.